Okay, all right. We need to talk. Let's take a look at the script.
Yeah.
Not that this is scripted, but our kind of prep notes.
Yep.
Kind of looking at your part of it.
Yeah.
Something about a name change or something you'd penciled in on there.
Just bear with me for a second. Ready?
Uh-huh.
B-Man and his amazing sidekick.
Yeah. I think we're going to start the show. You are listening to the Old Titans, not whatever that other name was. And this is the Old Titan, or one of the Old Titans himself, John Paul.
The co-creator, executive producer, writer, editor, CEO, CFO, and 50% of the shareholder of the Old Titans and Cheese Eater, the one and only B-Man.
We'll go with the cheese. Okay.
I was eating cheeses when you started the show, John.
You were. I kind of did that on purpose. I waited till you put one in your mouth to hit go.
I was
just kind of on purpose.
Actually,
yeah, it was. I saw what you wrote.
If you're crunching, I'm eating. Sorry.
Yeah, it happens.
It is our lunch break.
I've heard worse on podcasts around the world.
Too.
All right. Well, we already said Happy New Year, but I'll repeat it one more time because it's still so early in the year. We hadn't even made it to the halfway point of January, so Happy New Year one more time. 51st episode, yay! Once we get to the next one, we can compare it to the new 52, and
it'd be better. Yeah. We're better than that, yeah.
Maybe at number 53 we have a rebirth. I don't know.
Should we do a rebirth? That'd be great.
Rebirth episode.
That, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I think it's that time. We go with the B-Man question of the week.
All right. So we talked about how Disney's going to own everything eventually, pretty much.
That's what it feels like.
They're talking like they're going to purchase Netflix, even though their own streaming service is supposedly coming soon. We don't know that yet.
Yeah.
Do you think, and pretty much even say your time period,
okay,
that you see Disney actually purchase Warner Brothers?
My time period is in we're that much different in age.
Well, in our time period, yes.
Okay, our time period. That's better.
We're about halfway through our life right now,
yeah,
give or take.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So within our lifetime. Well, we'll just say within our lifetime is what you mean,
less
right?
depressing, yes.
By the time we're 100, how about that?
Okay.
We won't say it. That's less depressing.
I'm looking forward to a nap, John Paul. I want to get like.
So by the time we're 100, what's the question again?
Do you think Disney will purchase Warner Brothers?
I gotta say, I don't think so. I think there's a handful of studios. I could be wrong. Could easily be wrong. I would have put Fox in that category, but I think there's a handful of studios that will stay independent. Obviously, Disney. I don't think anybody's going to buy Disney. I would have put Fox in there. Warner Brothers Studio. Possibly Sony. Sony I could see selling because Sony has so many different things.
Right.
With electronics and all the rest. I just don't see Warner Brothers doing it. Warner Brothers has such a large catalog, and I'm not sure, and this is where we could disagree, but I don't think the government regulators would allow it. I think they would see it as too much of a monopoly.
Monopoly in what, though?
Content, and that they could control pricing on so much, and the relationship with movie theaters. Anytime a brand new movie opens, like the first week for a big blockbuster, the studio gets 90% of the ticket price.
Right.
And week by week, as it goes on, those terms get more favorable to the theater. That's why they like these that go for 8 or 9 or 10 weeks, because they're getting closer to 100% of the tickets. I mean, it's never 100, but closer to that by the end of its run. Well, if 100 movies are released in a year and 95 of them are all from one studio, effectively, that negotiating power for the theaters
that's where the trick
changes.
comes into play, because there are a lot of independent. It's not 95%.
No, but
Disney, I think, will have enough money to get the lawyers on their side, saying, "Well, there's other companies, other companies, there's other."
Yeah, but that's why I don't think the government would allow it.
I think they would.
I don't know.
And in the words of Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man, who I know you know who that is, which you probably don't.
No, I have no idea.
Everyone has a price. Warner Brothers will have a price tag eventually. And it seems like every other year Disney's buying something huge. They bought Pixar. They bought Star Wars. They bought Lucasfilm, and more than Star Wars. They possibly buying Netflix. They bought something else recently. They bought Fox just recently.
Yeah.
They're buying everything.
They're buying a lot.
Sooner or later, they're going to set their stage on Warner Brothers and going to say, hey, what do you guys want here? Give us a dollar figure. And I think if Warner Brothers comes up with some outrageous price, well, Disney looks down on it and say, well, we have that in our back pocket. Here you go.
I just don't know. You never know. I mean,
I would say not only will it happen, it'll probably happen in the next 10 to 15 years.
Yeah. I'm gonna go down. I'm gonna fall on the side of never happen.
Okay.
And we'll see. Never say never.
I actually hope you're right. I
Yeah.
think that Warner Brothers needs to stay out there and needs to be competitive.
Yeah, that's two different questions. That's will it happen or should it happen? I think the should is absolutely not.
Well, you and I totally agree there. I just think a lot of properties that Disney would love to have, the Looney Tunes cartoons with mixed with their characters, the comic book industry. Oh my God, what will change there with the DC and Marvel?
Yeah,
Would they reunite or?
in fact, even Fox, while I wanted the Marvel stuff to go back to Marvel, I'm really not a huge fan of the Marvel Disney deal because again, it puts so much under one umbrella. But I do think Fox was dumb to be holding on to that stuff. They should have just sold, kind of like Sony made the arrangement with Spider-Man. They should have either made an arrangement or sold off the rights back to Marvel for a nice sum of money.
That I would have preferred, yeah.
That would have been.
I'm with you there. So, yeah. Okay. On to the news.
On to the news. The news. The news you get nowhere else. We're exclusive to this news, right? I think. Maybe.
Yes.
I don't know.
We check on
webs.
webs.
Yeah, same websites as everybody else. Okay. So, in the last couple of days, depending on when you're listening to this, of course, the Krypton trailer, the first official full trailer, not a teaser, was released. And I think I said this last week. I was incredibly negative from the time they announced Krypton was being done. From the way it was described, I was picturing Caprica. Do you remember Caprica after Battlestar Galactica? I was picturing Caprica. Caprica was so boring to me. Could care less about Caprica.
I never got past like the second episode.
Yeah, I know. It's just there was no reason for it. I didn't care about it. That's what I was picturing with Krypton. Now that we're closer and I'm hearing where they're going with it and what they're doing with it, it actually sounds really, really good. Now, how long can it last? I don't know. Supposedly the creators have a 7 or 8 year plan.
It's a sci-fi channel, right?
It's a sci-fi channel.
That's a good thing for them, then, if they wanted to go farther, because you like less requirements, essentially. Less viewership.
Yeah. It doesn't have to have the kind of numbers you'd have on ABC, CBS, NBC. And it gives them a pure sci-fi show, which Sci-Fi Channel gets criticized a lot for not having sci-fi stuff. And they're wanting to bring in pretty much anything that's in the sci-fi realm at DC, they're wanting to bring into the show eventually. I think one of the producers even said, if you ever read about it in Mystery in Space, it has a chance to show up here on this show, which is kind of cool. You got the Omega Men, Green Lanterns, Captain Comet, and so on. Problem with some of those are they're modern day, not 2 generations back. So I don't know how much time travel there'll be or what, but still, the trailer looks neat.
I don't actually recognize anybody from the show right now. One guy from Game of Thrones who had a brief moment there. That's probably it.
I did not recognize any of the faces just right away. But that's not a bad thing either. That way you don't go any with preconceived notions about the character.
That's good.
We'll see how it goes.
Being a sci-fi show, I think it's a chance. If it was ABC, I thought it'd be just smoked.
Oh, well, yeah. ABC's not going to show a DC show.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah,
one of those major networks.
Yeah, one of the major networks. Well, I mean, it happened to both Constantine and Supergirl.
Constantine was good.
It was very good, but it didn't have the numbers that NBC wanted, so they killed it.
Wasn't it? I thought that was a CW show, Constantine.
No, it was NBC. NBC killed it. The next season, they brought Constantine himself over onto Arrow for a couple episodes.
But they wouldn't buy the show, right?
They didn't buy the show because they had Supernatural. I mean, they don't say this, but it's got to be because they had Supernatural still going.
Again, Supernatural is like 30 seasons now. Whatever it is.
Okay, it's a lot of shows. I don't blame them financially. I don't blame them for keeping it going, but I also can't blame them for not wanting to put a show that looks like a copycat to some degree on there. Even though a lot of what Supernatural does is a copycat of what people had read in Constantine.
I hear you.
And then Supergirl with CBS. The good thing with Supergirl was CBS is 50% has 50% ownership in CW. So when it didn't get the ratings they wanted on CBS, it was an easy move over to CW, and it was even being produced by the same company, by the Berlanti Group. So it was just an easy sidestep over. But anyway, one bit of news I want to just touch on briefly, just so can't say we didn't touch on it. There's some accusations. Like there's accusations for, it seems like every single male producer, director, writer, actor, you name it. If you're a male and you're in the public eye, you seem to have some kind of sexual misconduct allegations against you. And now Stan Lee has one against him, which I don't know that I believe it. I don't want to call the people who are accusing him liars. The little bit I've read sounded fishier than a lot of the others. A lot of the others have sounded like, oh yeah, this has been going on. A lot of people knew it was going on. This one sounds a little fishier, but I don't want to judge this in what they call the court of public opinion. This,
Unfortunately, in these days, the court of public opinions, you hear an accusation and the person's automatically guilty.
That's what it seems.
We
like.
don't know.
Yeah,
You and I have no idea if he did it. Then
Yeah.
I hope he gets in trouble for it. If he didn't, then at this point, we can just wait and find out.
yeah. Moving on, one that's a little sadder in a different way. Death. Do you know when I say death in comic books?
Neil Gaiman.
What do you picture? Neil Gaiman. Okay.
Was it Gaiman? How do you say?
I always say Gaiman. I don't know which is correct actually.
I really don't know.
All right. Well, that guy,
Yes.
Neil. We'll say our
An
good
amazing
buddy Neil.
creator. An amazing.
So you picture Death from Sandman and all that. That's who I picture for Death as well. Even though Marvel and every other comic company's had,
she's the big one.
she's
the
the one who's really
Yeah.
took off. Cinnamon Hadley was the inspiration for her visual
Right.
look, and she died here recently, age 48, which I'm 49, so it doesn't sound great. That's young. I mean, no matter, even if we call ourselves old titans, we still have to admit, dying in your 40s is dying young. So that's
And I don't want that to happen to you, John Paul.
no.
But if it does, can I be house?
No.
Okay.
I still have family there.
It's minor
Yeah.
details.
And the last one. Okay, this last one needs a spoiler alert. So if you don't like spoilers, you shouldn't be listening to our podcast, probably, because we talk about stuff that spoils
Just
things.
the Walking Dead spoiler, right?
This is a Walking Dead spoiler.
So nobody
right
cares
now.
anymore. Okay.
It could be. This is a Walking Dead comic book, though, specific. So number 175 just came out. And in 175, Michonne and a group of, sort of an envoy, goes to meet a new group that they're discovering is out there that is large, like 50 or 60,000 people.
Right.
Very large society that's very progressive and is growing and like, wow, hey, cool, life. It exists. While there, she discovers on a board, one of those boards where, have you seen this person? She sees a picture of herself with the words, have you seen my mommy? Which we have to interpret means that at some point her daughter, that she thought was long dead, survived.
Right.
So cool. Now I don't remember. I mean, obviously the child had a father. Were they married or?
I'm under the impression she was in an abusive relationship.
I don't know, but I remember he took the daughter and
Right.
they went one way.
I can't remember the actual comic book story of it.
But it could be more than just Michonne's daughter that's still alive.
Right.
But anyway, that was a big revelation. That'll obviously set the direction for the next 25 issues of Walking Dead until they get to the big 200.
Honestly, I hope that changes the TV show. Because my biggest complaint about Flash, I like the Flash show, but the first 3 seasons always just speeds there. I'm like, come on. In Walking Dead, it's always been a different dictator.
Yeah.
Move this area, this dictator wants your area. And this keeps happening. We need something different. We need something new. Walking Dead needs something new to take over right now, desperately.
And I can see where, because of the type of show it is, they would have to have conflict between the two groups.
Right.
But instead of making it one group is bad, one group is good, how about just have two different groups that have different agendas, different styles of leadership, but both groups agree the other side is okay,
Yeah.
but they're not going to change.
Right.
And are they in conflict or not? Hopefully it's not an all-out war type conflict, but that could
There's
be.
other ways to keep the show going.
Yeah.
I think they need to do something soon, though.
Yeah,
I think they're treading water. I really do.
I do too. So that was the last bit of news that I had, but do you have any news that I'm overlooking?
Yeah, I mean, some minor things you missed out. For example, Tuesday.
Yeah?
You know what happened Tuesday? What came out on Tuesday?
What came out Tuesday?
B-Man's Pick of Movie of the Year on Blu-ray. It
Oh.
came out on Blu-ray.
Very cool. That was Tuesday, not Wednesday? You picked it up on Wednesday.
I picked it up yesterday. I'm always a day behind.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Are you planning on seeing it, John Paul?
I do want to see it. The trailer looked really good. I will admit that. I'm not a huge horror fan. I love the Friday the 13th. I love sort of the Nightmare on Elm Streets. Some of them. Some were
But
garbage.
those really horror. I mean, back in the day, they're horror. Today's
Yeah.
day and age, do you consider them horror still?
Horror has multiple subgenres.
'Cause this-
Those were slashers.
Yeah, this kind of like slasher / dark comedies in a way, almost.
I mean, if you keep filtering it down to a simple word, there's sci-fi, but under sci-fi, you
Yeah,
got
no,
Star
I-
Wars and
I-
Star Trek.
I hear you
Very
there.
different.
I hear you there.
So it's a type, but this one looked really, really good. So yeah, I want to see it, especially after a reaction where you thought it might have been the best movie of last year.
I think it was. It was. I enjoyed it. The problem right now is, of course, that you've seen it. The people you talk to, they liked it, right? I believe.
I think everybody said they've enjoyed
Both
it.
Matt and myself picked it as movie of the year. Now at this point, yeah, the expectations are really high.
Except mine are not super high. Mine are. The trailer looked good. I was surprised. The trailer looked good. So now I'm kind of interested in wanting to see this. y'all all enjoyed it, but I know you're more horror fans, people who've said that. I'm not as big of a horror fan, so I'm going in hesitant going, am I going to be disappointed?
And that's kind of how I was Wonder Woman.
Okay.
Where kind of like, you said you loved it. I'm like, you loved a lot of things I don't like.
Yeah.
But I ended up really enjoying it. So, again, that came on a Tuesday. And Star Wars has passed the $1 billion mark.
Yeah, it has.
John Paul, in your opinion, is this movie a success?
That's a great segue into our main topic of the day.
Is it? Okay.
Bum, bum, bum. That's our new sound effect for main topic of the day, by the way.
That's a sound for everything right there.
Yeah, it works.
It's you slamming the desk with your hands.
It works, doesn't it?
Okay, it works.
Yeah, okay. Here, I'm gonna find an effect for us. We'll move into a sound effect, which is kind of mysterious and we can't hear it right now, but it's playing in the background.
Do you know how that sounds? You just push a button.
Yeah, it's just there's suspense, dun 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 type thing.
Okay. Anyways,
right.
yes, go ahead.
So now, main topic: what constitutes success in the media, in the movies, and a media release like Star Wars or anything else?
And this includes TV shows as well, right?
Sure, any of that kind of stuff. What counts as success? To some degree, I think it depends on who you're asking. If you say you have tons of money and you're sitting around multi-millionaire, multi-billionaire, and you're being asked to invest in doing a movie, and you could care less, you're not an artsy person, you're just seen as a financial investment. You're told, if you invest in this, we'll make you money. All you're going to care is, well, did I get the return they promised me? They told me it'd be somewhere, on average, 10% return, worst case 5%, best case 25%. If I got back the average or above, hey, that was a success. Again, if you ask that kind of a person, that's not how I'm going to interpret it.
It's not. For this particular situation, I don't know what the estimated cost budget yet. They haven't really announced it yet, as far as I know.
Yeah.
I'm guessing between $200 and $300 million, give or take.
Probably, yeah.
The Star Wars brand alone, on top of a movie, is going to make you $1 billion.
Yeah.
As of right now.
Today, yeah.
As of right now. It might change later on in the future. It depends how these movies keep doing.
Go up or down.
It could, correct. But the Star Wars name alone is going to make $1 billion, just in the movies alone.
Yeah, worldwide.
Now you got to consider, plus the toys come out. Because whenever these movies come out, there's going to be tons of toys.
There's another billion. Or whatever.
Whatever it is. I don't know what the price is, but there's going to be toys. There's going to be a Lego video game, which, again, we talked about this a week ago or so ago, that, hey, Lego says, give us your name to make the movie. It's scot-free and you make money.
Plus all the toys, all the Lego toys and all the other...
They just make tons and tons of money. So if I was just a person, said, hey, you want $300 million, make this money, then yes, it's a success. However, I'm viewing this as more of, if this was not Star Wars, this movie I think would have bombed. I really do.
Well, you got two different things. There's franchises like Star Wars, and there's standalone productions like It, say. I know there's going to be a sequel, but overall, It is pretty much a standalone type thing.
Right.
The closest you get to calling it a franchise is it's a Stephen King novel, which that's kind of a subgenre there.
Well, It had a planned sequel. I don't think. They're planning it. Yes. Yeah. At the same point, it ended where the movie could have ended right there. Yeah. I think they were waiting to see how this movie did.
And if they do have a sequel, that's it too. That'll be
it as well. Yeah.
So it's not going to be a multi-generational franchise like a James Bond, a Star Wars, a Star Trek, and Harry Potter, and so on.
Yeah.
Because of that, I think there's probably different criteria there. If you do make a standalone movie, you probably, if you're not the writer or a couple of very artsy people involved in the project, definitely if you're the studio or the investor, thinking about the money and only the money probably is all that really matters to some degree. I put out this movie that cost me $25 million to make, because these small ones usually don't take as much, whatever the dollar amount is, and I made money. Cha-ching, move on to the next movie, because you don't have to worry about what is its effect down the road.
Right.
The franchises, you got to worry about that.
They do have to worry about this. And as of right now, it's trending like 200. This one in general, as of right now, we'll change to other things in a second. But it's like over $200 million less than Force Awakens. That's kind of a lot of money. If I'm a studio person saying, okay, it has that much negative feedback, whether you liked it or not. And again, a lot of people like this movie, and I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't like that movie, and I'm fine with that as well. You have to look at the fact that this is getting tons and tons of negative feedback. And every day I turn online on Facebook or Twitter, whatever it is,
there's something
they're
else.
Always explaining something else. Well, this happened because of this. if you constantly have to explain what happened in a movie and why it's good, it's not a good movie. I'm sorry. At the end of the day, it's not.
Well, here's a good example. You're gonna be surprised to use this example, but Batman versus Superman.
Right.
Okay, I enjoyed it.
Right. And I enjoyed Star Wars.
And would I classify Batman vs Superman as a good movie? Yes, for me, I enjoyed it. Would I also say if I was in charge of it, would I have done something 100% different? Absolutely. I would have done a completely different movie. But I still watched it and enjoyed it. There's a lot of comics I've read where, I wish they put a different writer on here. I would have enjoyed it more. But I still bought the comic and didn't regret buying it. That's kind of where I'm at on Batman vs Superman. I enjoyed it. Is it a success? Standalone in a universe all by itself, Batman vs Superman was a success. Could it have made more money with those two names and Wonder Woman in it? Sure, but it made between $800 and $900 billion, not billion, but $800 or $900 million, close to $1 billion. Yes, it should have made more than $1 billion, but still, it made them plenty of money. However, I think we both agree Justice League was a better movie.
The Wonder Woman?
No, than Batman vs
yeah.
Superman.
Yeah, absolutely.
I said Wonder Woman was in Batman vs Superman.
Yes,
but
absolutely. I totally agree.
yes, Justice League was a better movie. If you have a world where Batman vs Superman does not exist, poof, gone. No one ever has any preconceived notion going into Justice League, except for possibly Wonder Woman. How much more money does Justice League make?
Clears $1 billion easy.
Yeah.
Easy.
However, it made $200 million less than Batman vs Superman.
Right.
That's where the franchise effect comes in. And now you suddenly have to say that Batman vs Superman was not a success. No matter what it did financially, it caused following movies to make less than they should have. Wonder Woman should have made more. Justice League should have made quite a bit more. Aquaman, I'm sure, should make more than it'll end up making. I have a feeling it's going to do well because people really like the character and they like the Wonder Woman movie, and they're going to see this as not continuing the Zack Snyder thing finally. But even so, having one or two bad ones in a row, which we're crossing our fingers is not the case with Star Wars. They've had one.
Right.
I mean, we loved the last one. I mean,
Even
Rogue
though,
One,
like,
loved, incredible.
absolutely, yeah.
Force Awakens, really enjoyed. You liked it even more than I did, but I really enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. I just had again, it was New Hope retelling.
No, that's fine though, but still enjoyable. There wasn't something you sat around and nitpicked and
Right.
talked about what was wrong. Han Solo is going to be a big thing.
Oh, another news part. They actually just I forgot this.
Yeah.
They just announced more reshoots are happening now in Han Solo.
More what?
Reshoots. Once again,
Oh.
more reshoots. Ron Howard is having some severe. I mean, Ron Howard's
Yeah.
the guy to fix things. Let's
Yeah.
be real.
And remember, Rogue One had a lot of reshoots that people were worried about.
Rogue One had reshoots, but there's a reason behind that. Because originally, the characters, I guess it's a spoiler, kind of.
It's
characters
over a year.
die. Everybody dies at the end of
Yes.
the movie Rogue One, right?
Right.
Originally, they were afraid to kill these characters off. Because, well, it's Disney,
Star Wars doesn't kill everybody. Yeah.
We had to keep these guys alive, and then they showed the movie to the executives, and they said, well, these characters need to die to make this legit. Which they wanted to do originally, which is
Yeah.
why there's constant reshoots.
And that's good.
Right. With Han Solo, I'm hearing different stories here. I'm hearing the problem with the storylines. A lot of people are saying that
The acting?
actor
Yeah.
who plays Han Solo can't act, which is a big problem.
It's just like, why would you cast I'm not asking you, but why would you cast somebody in that iconic of a role who can't act?
I think he looked the part.
And I think the opposite. I figured it had to be his acting, because when I look at him, I go, that's not Han Solo. Every time I see the actor,
Yeah, I'm with you there too as well.
before he was in costume and after when they released pictures in costume, both times I look at him and go, that is not Han Solo. There must be something great about his acting. But now I've heard the same thing, that there's worry about the acting. So
Right. Now, I don't think
I don't
a
know.
bad Han Solo movie will cripplize it because people will be able to differentiate. Well, this isn't part of the main storyline.
Episode 9 is going to be the key.
Right. Can J.J. Abrams write the ship?
If Han Solo is great, it doesn't wipe out the bad feelings about 8, but it makes the bar for episode 9 lower.
Right.
If Han Solo is mediocre at best, or there's a lot of problems, suddenly 9 has to be as good as Rogue One, in my opinion. Because if it's not as good as Rogue One, that'll be 3 in a row, 2 of them in the main sequence, and that will be a problem. Star Wars won't go away. It'll never go away, but
I mean, do you think right now, because Ryan Johnson is in charge of the next Star Wars trilogy, is this still happening?
no, that one's not happening. Another trilogy will happen, but I still don't think his will ever happen.
What do you think's going to happen with that He'll get quote unquote busy and scheduling conflicts, and then all of a sudden, we need to make these movies happen.
Yeah,
I think he's done too. They just announced that he is writing a book called like 8.5, whatever it is. What happens between? There's so much right now with this movie going on wrong where they constantly explain different things.
Kind of like Rogue One is 3.5. You know.
Yeah, I mean it's.
Yeah.
So.
You never know.
I agree with you. From a business point, if I just want money coming back to me as a standalone movie, that's great. That's fantastic. From a franchise point of view, it was not a success.
Right.
It's trending too far behind.
And there's plenty of other ones out there that you have to look at like that. I mean, you have to look at the DC movies, the Marvel movies. I mean, DC, I guess in one respect, they're in a pretty good position. They really have nowhere to go but up.
Sure.
I mean, at least in people's opinions. Not financially, but in people's opinions.
Before Wonder Woman, I would say yes. After that, they need to keep pace with Wonder Woman established.
They do.
And they did say in Wonder Woman Part 2, that they're going to go a different direction.
Well, not a period piece, kind of like Captain America.
Right.
Now,
and I'm okay with that, actually.
Now, hers, I think, though, they've talked about it still being a period one, but much closer to modern times.
Okay.
Like maybe 70s or 80s.
Which is fine.
Yeah, it's close to modern, so it doesn't feel like a old war picture.
When did the TV show take place?
It was in the 70s.
Was it 70s?
Well, season 1 actually was World War II.
I thought it was World War II. Okay.
Season 2 and on, which wasn't much on, but season 2 and on was in the 70s.
Did they have explained the time
Nope.
jump? They just went with it?
They just went with it.
Back in those days, it doesn't make a difference, I guess.
Yeah, it was just,
It
here
really
we are.
Yeah, I'm cool with that, actually.
We switched from Earth 2 to Earth 1.
I loved that show
continue
back
on.
in the day. I really did.
Oh, yeah,
and
it's
Linda
fun.
Carter was... I mean, I'm sure I had a crush on her. I'm sure you did as well.
Everybody did.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to take a little shot here for you. I'm executive producer. I come to you.
Uh-huh.
I want you to create a new franchise. I want it to be successful. How do you start? Like, would you look at something already created previously?
Like what property do I start with? Or
do you start
how
with
do
the
I-
property, or do you say, you know what, I'm creating something different?
Oh, create something original.
I mean, if you want to, or do you want to
Yeah.
create a book? I mean, what would you? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I think
I'm giving you, say, $200 million, so you have a good budget right there to
Yeah.
work with.
I think in today's environment, the only way to do it is probably to go find a property that already exists. You know, book, comic, character, whatever. I think it doesn't mean you can't do something original, but it's much harder to do something original and make it something that continues. I mean, Die Hard did it, but if you look at Die Hard's success after the first one, the quality goes way down.
Yeah.
They had 4 or 5 movies, but it's an example. Beverly Hills Cop. 1, great. Number 2, still fun.
2 is fun, yeah.
3, forget about it.
I think
Then
it
you
was
kinda
Mickey
done.
Mouse, or like...
Lethal Weapon is about the only one of those from that kind of time period that all 4 of them are great. I mean, there might be better and worse, but all 4 of them were good. And
Indiana Jones, other than the last
Indiana
Crystal
Jones
Skull.
was original. Star Wars was original. Pseudo for both of them. Both of them were copying things that had existed in the past, but they were not based on a specific story. Those you could do it with, but so many other ones, I mean, obviously Harry Potter, James Bond. I mean, James Bond has been around longer than a lot of these. It was based on a series of books. I mean, it's not uncommon to do that. Now, what might be good is to go find a series of books that is not as popular as Harry Potter was when they started. Harry Potter was already a huge franchise before they started making the movies. I'd probably go find something I really loved. That's probably what I'd do. That way, I do think the creators making it have to have the passion behind it. They can't look at it as strictly a financial thing, because then what you do is you get, you know, Superman starring Nicolas Cage, you know.
Yeah, I'm glad that never happened,
Yeah,
by the way.
but
I
you get
really
things
am
like
glad
that.
never happened.
Because the people making it didn't really care about Superman. They were trying to do their own vision of something.
And doesn't he still get paid for that right now, like this day?
Today,
Cage?
no. He got money at that time, but not anymore.
Still good. That's a nice life.
That was some of what hurt Man of Steel's bottom line on the books, behind the scenes, what we don't see, is all the money that was put into making a Superman movie all hit Man of Steel as sunk costs. All the different versions, revisions, and everything. So any money paid to Tim Burton and Nicolas Cage went against Man of Steel's bottom line. Which,
Wow.
you know, not fair, but it's
All right.
life.
So
So I would start with a property. I'd start with a property that I really love. And what I might do, and these are in parallel. These two things are in parallel. And I'd find director, producer, creator, whatever you want to call the person, you know, the artist, because I'm not somebody who makes movies. I'd find a person that I love their work and want to work with them. but they have to be somebody who loves the property as well. So it might be somebody I find, let's say Ron Howard is somebody I loved. Hey, Ron, sit down. I got this money. I want to start up something new. What are some things you like? Here's some things I like. Let's see if we find a common point. Maybe do it like that.
Okay.
That I can think of 2 or 3 properties off the top of my head that I'd make in an instant.
Throw them out there.
One of them is very obscure. When I say very obscure, plenty of people know about it, but I doubt you've heard of it. The Dark is Rising series. They actually made one movie. It was garbage. It really wasn't The Dark is Rising. It was somebody who didn't care anything about the books. And it's a series of books about a young boy turning 11 years old who discovers he has magic powers and is taken off to learn about his magic powers. Does it sound familiar? Kind of Harry Potter-like?
Yeah.
However, it was written back in the early 70s, long before Harry Potter. And all these things happen over and over and over. It's like The Sword and the Stone and all the rest. Right. But it's a very different take. There's no wizarding school. There's nothing like that.
Is this when they go back in time?
Huh?
Is this when they go back in time or something?
There's a couple of moments in it where there's a back in time moment, but it's not really a time travel story. It's 5 books. The first one is Over Sea Under Stone. The second one is called The Dark is Rising, which is the whole series. You get The Grey King. Was it The Grey King next? Or no. I'm blanking on the next one. That's horrible. Well, the next one, then The Grey King, and then Silver on the Tree. It's horrible. I'm blanking on the name of the third book. I mean, there's 2 storylines in parallel. One is a group of kids who are completely normal, average, everyday kids that get pulled into this mystery, this magical thing, who discover the Holy Grail. Meanwhile, you got Will Stanton, the kid that you're following, who's the magical one, who's the last in this line of old ones. And their stories intertwine as the dark. It's a very classic, the light and the dark, good and evil. The dark rises and gets defeated over and over throughout time. This is a moment in time where the dark is rising again. And it's kind of the last battle, the final one that will the light be able to defeat the dark. And it takes all these kids working together to get there. And I read it as a kid, and I read it as a teenager, and I read it as an adult, and I read it a couple of them to my kids, and it's resonated at every age for me and with them. And you got 5 of them, so that's a pretty good franchise. It can't go beyond the 5. I mean, that's the end of the story. But it's really good.
Well, 5 in a movie is still a franchise, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, now cast acting. Do you consider, like, would you say you're in charge of acting, whatever it is? Do you want a big name star to carry you on, or do you want to find an unknown person that can act?
In most roles, in most movies, putting that one aside for a minute, in most stuff, I'd say get an unknown or somebody with experience acting, so you can look at their work and see, do they know what they're doing? Whether it's a soap opera or Third Man from the Left, in that scene that time.
So let me ask you this question regarding that. Do you think a big name actor can actually hurt your franchise more than help it?
It can.
Because I think a lot of times, back in the 80s, they saw a movie, like Mel Gibson, for example.
Yeah.
He had a huge following back then. He was in a movie, people wanted to see it. I think that's different these days. I think these days people see an actor in a movie and they don't want to see it because of that actor. I know Ben Affleck, I know you're a big fan of him. For a while, people didn't want to see movies because he was in it.
It depends on how well they know the character. Like the Dark is Rising series, nobody outside of the handful of people, which is a nice chunk of people who enjoy that book, but when you're looking at the entire world, not that many people know that series. Right. Nobody knows the characters, so there a big name could help. It's going to attract them, at least in the first movie. If you're doing Batman or Thor or, pick any name people know,
right?
There's where it can hurt. Because you have an image for what this character's like on paper or an animated, cartoon, and you have an image for this big actor, they're not likely to mesh. That's one of the reasons Iron Man did so well. You found the perfect melding of Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark.
Right.
I mean, he was Tony Stark.
Yeah,
he had lived the same kind of life.
Absolutely.
It's rare you're going to find that. Because Robert Downey Jr. was a big name. Not as big, maybe as Mel Gibson at his height or things like that. He is now, obviously, but when he was cast in that role, he was not that big. He had his troubles, but it's like casting Johnny Depp as Tonto, say, in the Lone Ranger movie. That's something that hurted.
That was odd casting.
I
never figured that one out casting. At all.
And it actually turned people off of the movie because it just came across as weird. Doesn't mean he's not a good actor, can't do a good job, but he's just weird. Will Smith. Love Will Smith. He's great. And I don't believe he always plays Will Smith. He does a lot. A lot of times he's just Will Smith. He's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air every time. But he can do something different. But when I heard he was cast as Deadshot, I was a little worried. But at least I knew he could do a good job acting. And not as many people knew who Deadshot was. So I think it depends on the character, how well the character's known.
I give him credit because I saw him in I Am Legend, and I thought he was great in that movie.
Yeah.
He was amazing in that
He had to carry that entire movie.
He did by himself.
Yeah.
He did just fine.
Him and a dog, I guess. You know?
Yeah, and when the dog dies, spoiler, I guess.
Yeah.
He almost had me in tears, man. I really, it was heartbreaking there.
I still need to see the original. Charlton Heston was the original.
Charlton Heston, I can't watch his movies, man.
Yeah?
He so overacts everything. I just can't do it.
I love his movies.
He's like, at least Christopher Walken, who overacts, is so humorous. With Charlton Heston, I find no humor. I just find this guy so overacting right now.
I do think Charlton Heston's a better actor than the name I'm about to mention, but I see them kind of carrying the same kind of roles.
Who's that?
Bruce Campbell. For his day. No, but think about the type of roles he had with Planet of the Apes and so many other roles that Charlton Heston had that, I mean, that genre thing.
Dude, we are a fanboy-related podcast, and you don't say anything bad about Bruce Campbell, ever.
I'm not saying anything bad. That was a compliment.
Hail to the king, baby. That's
but think
all
about
I'm
how
saying.
much Bruce Campbell overacts on some things.
He does
intentionally.
Yeah.
I think a lot of Heston's was intentional, too.
Okay.
I will say, in case you ever do decide to read the books, there's one character in this series of books, the kids who are the Norms, the Muggles, whatever you want to call them. They don't have a name for them. They're just kids. They have a great Uncle Mary. His name is Merriman Lyon. He's a key character throughout these books. Great Uncle Mary, Tom Baker. I don't know if you recognize the name Tom Baker or not. A lot of the world would. At one point, he was the only voice that was more recognizable than the Queen in England. He was the most popular Doctor Who of all time. If you ever picture Doctor Who with a long scarf, he's the one with a long scarf. Tom Baker is a very, very, very well-known British actor. His voice is very distinctive, kind of like James Earl Jones' voice. Tom Baker's voice is very distinctive. He's older. He has that kind of bearing that would carry this character really well. And you're putting one name, and then everybody else be original. You know, most of it's kids anyway. But don't cast any other well-known name across any of the other parts. I think that'd work really well for that.
All right.
The one movie they made was garbage, and just don't go see that one. But and it is a British book. That's the other thing. The lady who wrote it is English, and it's set in England. And so
I
on.
gotcha.
So
see, I actually had a different idea.
Okay. Yeah. What would you?
What would you do?
I'm
thinking of a TV show.
Okay.
Back in the 90s, or maybe late 80s, early 90s, I think it was, the Indiana Jones show. Remember that?
Young Indiana Jones.
When was that? That was early 90s, I believe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere there.
They do have a franchise, and I know you're not a gamer, but Tomb Raider is such a huge franchise.
Oh, well, there's a new movie coming.
It is.
Yeah.
Actually, that movie looks good, though. I will say that.
Yeah, it does.
But before the movie came out, I'm like, this would have been a great TV show.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, if you pretty much, instead of doing it when she's already the archaeologist and that kind of stuff, set her up as really young. I'm not really young, but like 18, 19 years old, maybe,
she looks
excelling.
I will say in this movie, she looks like she's somewhere between 18 and 25 in that range.
I would say have her in high school, or have her, early college, but even late college, she's ahead of her game, wherever it is.
Yeah.
And then start some early ventures with her father. And come out on her own at that point. Cause,
sort of the older of the two young Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Because there was the young,
yeah,
and then the regular young. The regular young was really good. The young,
I didn't care for.
Good.
Yeah, I didn't care for the young.
No.
I would say probably have her, even say she's had the character 19 years old, but she's a senior in college because she's such a smart girl that she excelled really fast, and have her go on some adventures that way. You can keep it supernatural, you can keep it archaeologist style,
you can do a little of everything.
A little of everything.
Like Indiana Jones did.
That would be a great CW show, I think. And that would last for a long time. Yeah. You can go easily 8 or 9 seasons with it.
They've got a show on the CW. It's not Tomb Raider, but it's archaeologist adventure type thing. And I cannot remember the name of it, but they did it as a very much like the 80s shows always had the male-female leads that the will they, won't they, romantic interest thing.
CW does every show is CW.
But I mean, there was a very 80s thing with Moonlighting, Remington Steele, all those kind of shows. This one was very much that kind of show. where he was the archaeologist and she was the one kind of, I think, hiring him or whatever to go find something. They were pulling together Indiana Jones, Romancing the Stone. It's very Romancing the Stone-like. I didn't never see it. I don't know if it's any good or not. It was a summer show last year. I don't know if there'll be a season 2 this year.
Well, I'm still saying it. Another thing, too, is a possibility.
Uh-huh.
Rebooting Buck Rogers.
Oh, yeah. Buck Rogers has come around so many times that they can always reboot Buck Rogers.
I think that'd be a great reboot. I really do. I love Buck Rogers.
Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, The Phantom. There's a handful of those pulp heroes like that are great.
So he's due for a reboot. I think that'd be a good franchise. I mean, okay, think of this. If they come to you again, do you consider rebooting a franchise, movie-wise?
Yeah.
What would you reboot?
As a movie, not like reboot a movie into a new movie, rebooting a TV show into a movie. Either one. That's a good question. There's a lot of good ones out there.
Okay.
There's a lot of good ones. They just finished Planet of the Apes reboot, which was good. I enjoyed it. I prefer the original Planet of the Apes. So if that was on the table, try to do something more in the spirit of the original.
Off the table.
Off the table?
Off the table.
Off the table.
You want something new. It's reboot, but also new and fresh.
New and fresh. Well, I mean, what I mean is I'd completely redo it again. Completely redo it. Because even though I do like the new ones, I like the original.
Well, it just came out just recently. I think that's off the table.
That's a good question. I don't know. That's hard. That's a hard one.
I can tell you what I leave alone.
Okay.
Absolutely, 100%. And people always think this, and every so often you hear me mention this.
Mm-hmm.
Leave Jaws alone.
Oh.
Absolutely, leave Jaws alone.
There's not really any reason to do it again. I mean,
right.
It's perfect as is. Leave it alone.
It's perfect as it is, other than the fact that there's like 2 or 3 scenes when the shark looks really fake.
Who cares?
It was back in the 70s.
Yeah,
yes, it was fake.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was so perfect as a movie goes. Don't touch that movie.
And the acting and everything else, you're not going to have.
You're not going to recast Roy Scheider again. He was so amazing in that role. Don't touch that.
WKRP the movie.
WKRP the movie.
How about that?
It'd be a comedy, obviously.
Yes, that's a comedy.
What direction do you go?
What do you mean?
What happens? I mean,
you pretty much start from scratch. Kind of like, I will say the A-Team movie that they did, which started from the formation of the team forward. I thought the A-Team movie was really good. I'm surprised there haven't been more of them.
I didn't think that was good.
Well, it was a success. Financially, it's a success.
Right, but
most people, I thought, in general, enjoyed it.
I hated the coming together of how you had this tattoo, I had the same tattoo, and we're friends now. Just stupid. Okay, WKRP then.
Okay, WKRP.
Did you base it in the 70s?
Well,
or do you base it now?
I'd probably base it now, is my guess. In fact, this would be a good time for it because radio is struggling. There's so many media options now, radio in general. At the time, you had a station that was struggling in a time where radio was doing well. Now you have radio not doing as well.
That actually, I like where you go on this one, John Paul. I didn't think of this, okay.
And the original started with Andy being hired away from somewhere else to come in. He was the only normal person to help turn the station around. So you'd start at the same point. You'd have your Andy come in and try to turn a station around.
Do a quick cast me. Or can you cast anybody in this?
Oh, that'd be difficult.
Do you go the stoner road for Johnny Fever?
Well, the hard ones are Johnny Fever. Well, all of them are hard. I gotta say the hard one, but all of them are hard. Johnny Fever is hard to do. Les Nessman is hard to do.
I'm going to cast Andy right now perfectly. And it doesn't look the part. He doesn't look like him, but I think he'd do a great role as him. Yeah. Tom Hanks is Andy. I think Tom Hanks would be great as Andy.
I think he'd be a little too old for it. I do think Tom Hanks would do it well, but I think he's a little too old.
He's actually out there in age.
For a younger, hip station trying to, make it today. I don't know. I would look for somebody younger.
I'm a big Donald Glover fan. I love Donald Glover.
Yeah.
Venus Flytrap. I think if you can get the Lando Calrissian down,
as long as you're okay with doing the stereotype thing, which that was part of it.
That was the part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you got to go there.
And if he can do Lando fine, because Billy D. Williams would have been great as Venus Flytrap. Because again, this is all stereotyping.
Yeah,
Johnny Fever and those guys are perfect. I don't know how to cast Herb. Herb and Les are the really hard ones, I think, to cast.
And they get to be older. That's the thing. Actually, Tom Hanks as Les Nessman could actually work. He's such a good actor. He could fall into it.
He can do anything, Roy. But I just I can see him being would annoy Mr. Carlson and do it this way, but pretend he's the boss.
Yeah.
That's what Andy always did. I think he can do it, man. I think Tom Hanks can do it. Again, this is a really hard one to cast because I definitely need a stoner. T.J. Miller, I think, would have been a good Johnny Fever.
Yeah.
Again, he's been in trouble recently himself with accusations, so we'll see how that one goes. I think he'd been great as Johnny Fever. What was not Dolly Parton? What was her name?
Oh, Lonnie Anderson.
Yeah.
For Lonnie Anderson, you pretty much pull from.
Okay, because again,
You got to have a good actress,
right?
but has the looks, and
again, you got to go stereotype because it's WKRP.
yeah, it's everything about it was stereotype things,
Right.
And you're okay with doing that in a show or a movie like
Oh,
that.
it's a comedy. It's meant to be
Yeah.
stupid like that.
You can go over the top with it. I'm not sure who the best person to cast in something like that is. She actually did a really good job in one movie. Taylor Swift.
No, don't even mention.
Did you see the one movie that she did?
She with the other Taylor and that kind of stuff, Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
or,
Valentine's Day.
No, she was terrible. She was absolutely
I thought
terrible.
she did a
She
good
was
job.
absolutely horrendous in that movie. Didn't even mention that anymore. I lost. Emma Stone is Bailey. Dress it down a little bit.
I could
Emma Stone
see
is
that.
Bailey.
Emma Stone is Bailey. I really like.
Okay.
I really like that. Carrie Underwood in the Lonnie Anderson
What is
part.
with you? Is these?
I'm just picturing people who I think could do a good job.
I'm thinking closer to Shakira if you go that direction.
Again, age. She's a little bit older.
Well, Lonnie Anderson was kind of old,
Yeah.
wasn't
Not
she?
old. Not that old.
I don't know. It's hard to tell because she had that little hair and made it look.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And I think one thing that would help for a movie, since you don't have to worry about it, even though you want to do several movies, you don't have to have somebody that fits perfectly. For Mr. Carlson, have an iconic actor in that role. I don't know who. I'm not sure who the right person is, but somebody almost from that era of TV.
You need the lovable old guy.
Because he wasn't that old. I mean, him and his wife had a kid on the
Right.
within the
Well,
show. He was not that old. But you're okay, I think, going a little bit older to get the iconic.
You need a lovable guy from the 70s.
Well, do you watch Superior Donuts now? Or did you ever watch Taxi?
Yeah.
Andy from
Andy,
Taxi?
yeah. Oh, that's a
he's
good one.
He's the lead, one of the two leads on Superior Donuts.
I can see him.
He could be fun in that role.
I haven't seen him since Independence Day. Now thinking about our numbers.
Yeah, that's right. He's had several shows that's come and gone on TV, and
Yeah, he'd be good at that.
he'd be good in that role. Again, he's older than what that role calls for, but
But you have to change some things up.
another one that could be kind of fun. The actor I think would have fun with it. J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, he'd be great. Actually, that's a good point.
Of course, if he's a little bit younger, he'd be a great Johnny Fever.
All right, then Brad Pitt as Andy.
Brad Pitt as Andy.
I could see Brad Pitt doing it.
I could see Brad Pitt doing Andy.
Yeah, or even do Clooney because the friends of Clooney have Clooney be Mr. Carlson. Have Clooney be because again that'd be age-wise kind of close. Here we go, right here. Clooney is Andy. I'm sorry, Clooney is Mr. Carlson. Brad Pitt is Andy. I still have Emma Stone as. Then again, that'd be different for those two though, because Emma Stone and Brad Pitt are kind of a big age difference, and they were romantically. Were they dating Andy and Bailey?
Not Andy and Bailey, Johnny and Bailey. That's where the romantic
Really?
thing was. I mean, there was not ever a major part of the story, but yes, it was Johnny and Bailey.
I never realized that.
Yeah,
Okay, so yes, WKRP would be a good one. I agree with you, John Paul.
that'd be a fun one to do.
I don't know if that'd be a good TV show anymore. I really don't.
They tried WKRP again or something.
Yeah, but it was the same cast, and it just didn't flow right.
It didn't.
It had Herb and Les, I think. That was it, right?
Herb and Les and Mr. Carlson, those three, and everybody else. Not everybody, but several of the others came back for like one episode as a guest appearance. But yeah, it just didn't work.
And you need this, if you do a good movie with this, for WKRP to work, you need just a small tidbit to Thanksgiving episode. That episode of the last 5 minutes of Thanksgiving where they threw the...
Yeah.
That was such... and people still post to this day as the funniest moment in TV history.
Yeah.
You need a shout out to that moment.
All right. So my last thought on this, before we probably need to wrap it up for the day, my last thought: instead of a reboot, make it a rebirth. Keep the original TV show in continuity. Bring in a whole new cast. You're not bringing in Andy. You're not bringing whatever. You're bringing in the same kind of stereotypes. Still go with the full stereotype thing. Bring back Johnny Fever. Let Johnny have inherited the whole thing, and he's your new. He's not playing Mr. Carlson. He's still playing Johnny Fever, but the stoner is in charge of the whole station. He's the only one who stayed around the entire time.
That'd be great,
It'd
actually.
be fun.
I like that idea. Okay.
And bring that actor back. That gives you your classic 70s actor.
He's still alive, right?
Yeah.
Last time I saw him was head of the class, I think.
Oh, he's done quite a bit of stuff since
Has
then.
he?
Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be good. All right. So, do we have a B-Man question of the week for next time?
We do.
All right. Hit me,
Marvel
hit me.
just announced that Black Widow was coming out with a movie. I think
Finally, yeah.
next year, is it? Or 2 years, whatever it is? Who
Probably a
knows?
couple, yeah.
All right. Do you think they're making this movie because they think this is going to be a great movie, or do you think that Wonder Woman was such a huge success that now they have a little more courage to make these movies?
It's a good question.
Thank you.
So until next time, this is John Paul,
B-Man.
and we are out of here.
Eating my t-shirts.
Eating this cheese.